I'm being tortured to protect disgusting people like William Barr and Nancy Pelosi and Jamie Gorelick, the worst of the very worst white people that have never worked for America. They have always worked for foreign countries. They've always worked for the mafia of foreign countries. Always, 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 always. But I do not deserve to die to protect Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland and my God, and William Barr, and I mean the list goes on. All of them. I mean, anyone that served in the DOJ in the last 60 years, I do not deserve to be killed for any of them, including your black guys. I don't deserve to be killed for Eric Holder. I don't deserve to be killed for Obama. I don't deserve to be killed for Michelle Obama. I don't deserve to be killed for their kids. I don't deserve to be killed for the Bushes. I don't deserve to be killed for anybody. I don't deserve to be killed for Ed Markey, Senator Warren, Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, Patty Murray. I mean, do I really have to go through how disgusting all of these people are that I'm on YouTube video screaming 911 emergency, please evacuate me? The worst of the worst of the worst of the worst foreign country, please get in here and evacuate me. And you know what? Then we're gonna deal, because then there's going to be serious consequences for having to be evacuated by a hostile, I mean, not a hostile, somebody who hates America for the right reasons, just like I do. Then when they once they evacuate me, then we're going to do some serious negotiation, and this country is going to be bankrupted because I'm going to take it all. And the foreign country that I'm going to will make sure that they give it all. Every penny. Every single solitary penny. Or we'll continue taking things out. Because that's what people like me do. When Americans want to bury their heads in the sand and not pay attention to what Washington, D.C. has been doing for the last 100 years. So you're hell-bent on protecting all your white guys and all your mafiosos down there, thinking that they're gods and they're saints, and they never were. And all that was a PR campaign. Why do you think all of the hedge funds bought the newspapers? They hired PR people. They did not hire journalists. There's an awful lot of journalists that have journalists at the end of it that really need to change their title to PR representative of whichever administration is in power. That's not a journalist. That's a PR rep. Like Maggie Haberman is a PR rep for Trump and the GOP. I don't know who the Democrats ones are. There's tons of them. There's tons of them that should not have journalists behind their name. They should have, yes, I'm a PR propaganda rep for the United States government, because we're all in the mafia business and we all wash illicit foreign money because we get to travel around the world and we get to put on campaign events and we get to da 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 da. And because we do that so much, we never get anything done for the American people. That's why nothing's been done in the last 30 years. So, man, when this country collapses, which it already has in 2016, remember, it already collapsed. Anybody still trying to use a stupid rule book is the most insane, ignorant idiot. I don't even want to be around people like that. Don't ever, Turner, don't ever put me in front of people like that, because I will bolt right out of the room. Don't put me in a room with people that thought we should follow any kind of rule book at all. That was insane. This country collapsed in 2016. You don't use a rule book when the country has already collapsed, and the rule book was burned during Donald Trump's inauguration. What do you think that horrific fucking speech was about? What do you think that horrific fucking speech was about? What do you think that horrific fucking speech was about? Because the country had collapsed. They were putting in mafiosos. And they were going to sell you propaganda. And Trump sells it to you by the caseload. And unfortunately, too many white males suck it up like it's their last beer. Kind of like Kavanaugh, huh? Him and that beer. Well, that poor woman has been ruined. And yet she was telling the truth. She's been ruined just like me. Actually, she's got family, so I suspect she's recovering. I've been continued to be tortured like fucking hell with the goddamn fucking next door neighbors and the Richards. Tortured. Absolutely insanely tortured. This weekend was absolute. I told you, and I am tired of begging is why I didn't get on, and I cried most of the time. This is too heartbreaking to think that you want to protect the Mormons, the cult religions. It's grotesque. And you know, I hope, I'm fairly certain actually that Turner will probably be able to find us an enemy that will absolutely gladly take us in and make sure that we get a plane in the next week or so and do not ask any questions. That I am pretty sure of, because I think some of our enemies have enough power to pull it off. I believe some of our enemies have enough power to actually pull a stunt like that off on American soil without being touched. Because I'm sure they have their ways to make sure that if you step within 10 feet of this operation, there's an electric fence, so you better watch out. Those are the kind of people I want to be around right now. And I deserve to be around. I do not deserve to be tortured for the Magnus family. And it's really probably not even the Magnus family and these fucking jokers, because they're just the peons, although they do really work for the dictators themselves. Grotesque dictators. Like Gary worked for George W. Bush. He was disgusting. That guy is disgusting on all levels. There is nothing good about that man or his family. I never thought so. My mother never thought so either. Actually, she gave me a few messages about him on the way out. Now I know why. She was trying to tell me that my husband worked for George W. Bush directly. Now I get it. My mother was brilliant in the end, just brilliant with her coded messages. Just brilliant. You know, because again, we were on 24-hour surveillance, video, audio. We couldn't have a quiet, peaceful, private moment. My mother and I never had, never from the moment I came out. We have never had a private moment to ourselves where we weren't on video and hooked up to audio around the entire fucking house. Around the entire house. Set up by the US military. All set up by the US military. That's what they're all freaking out about. Because, of course, the biggest cardinal sin of all is having the US military go after a private, innocent, United States citizen. That's where people will freak out. And I think they probably have. I think they probably did over the weekend. I think the enemies are trying to get their ducks in a row, because I know it takes some time. But man, I just don't have much time left. These people are killing me. And I know you guys know that. And I suspect, see, people who want Turner and I over there, They work 24/7 until they make it happen. They don't take weekends off. And they don't celebrate Mother's Day. And they don't run 150 mafia runs Saturday and Sunday before noon. That's, as you can see, I'm in a different location today because I cannot sit in my front room anymore. I can't take the noise. It makes me go into a panic attack, and then I cry, and it's hard to get out of, and yeah. But I should not be banished to my back room so tortured that I want to go live in the street to get away from them so that they can arrest me. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. We cannot have Metro arrest me on domestic terrorism charges that are false. Because the cardinal sin here is the United States military targeted my family and always ran the surveillance on us. And that is against the law straight up. And in my book, treason. And that's why. And now I understand why DC is so horrified for him, because we may not, it may take us 100 years to come back to where we were. Because the cardinal sin of the United States is the US military is not to attack a private US innocent citizen. And you didn't just target me, you targeted my mother too. And you targeted all of us. Most of them went to your side. I was the only unbribable one. Thank God. The only one that couldn't be bribed. Although oddly enough, I have to tell you, Magnus didn't try either. So, I mean, I can just imagine what these that I suspect that's what these two are freaking out about. But wait a minute, we had all these plans of all this awesome retirement. No, you don't. Not anymore. No, you don't. Not anymore. Not on my watch. And not on America's worst enemy's watch either. Everybody involved in this is going down. And I'll direct it from a foreign country if I have to, but every single solitary person is going in an orange jumpsuit and is serving time. And we are going to get all of the black and brown men that they prefer to lock up and treat inhumanely like they do me every day. We're going to take all those men out, and we're going to shove all these white people in. That's what our jail should be full of. And I want the air conditioner set at the same temperature that it is today, at like 60 degrees, where it freezes people to death. I want to do that to white people. I want to torture them like they have tortured us. I want them to feel what it feels like and see what it's like to eat the shit that they hand you. A piece of bread and a whole bunch of fucking slop that doesn't have any nutrients in it at all. Any food value, nothing. It's just garbage. The cheapest shit garbage, so that the guy can drive around in his, Benz or something. No, we've got to go for something better than that. I don't know why I can't, it escapes me. Anyway, it's something insanely, one of those $250,000 jobbies. We're feeding prisoners shit so they can drive around in $200,000 cars. And come on. This country is cruel and inhumane, and it is every day it is cruel and inhumane. I don't know who ever said that this country was good to its people. Again, that was a PR campaign that the United States drummed up and sold around the world. It was never truthful. It was a PR campaign. Nothing less, nothing more. It was a PR. You notice that nothing ever happened for the people. It only happened for the rich in the last 100 years. because Congress doesn't do anything. They campaign, that's all they do. They campaign and dial for dollars. They do not solve your problems. They do not write laws that they don't do the job. They haven't done the job since I've been born. They haven't done the job since I've been born. That's a fact. Or I wouldn't be a United States political prisoner saying 911, please help. 911 emergency, please help. 911. I don't deserve to die for Nancy Pelosi, William Barr, or again, any of the disgusting, I guess I should Google it and go down the list. Anybody who served in the FBI in the last 6 years is corrupt. Anybody who's served in the DOJ in the last six decades is corrupt. We know that for a fact, or I wouldn't still be a political prisoner of America trying to protect all their dirty secrets. But I'm going to get over to an enemy, and then we're going to fix this, because I'm not waiting anymore. And by God, I don't think they want to wait anymore. You see, I think they've been dying for a crown jewel, because they've been dealing with the United States military intelligence being doctored for the last 6 decades too, and they're not very happy about it. Or any intelligence. You know, that's why all those corrupt men run the FBI. They just doctor it all, whitewash it all in their favor to make it look like they did something when they did nothing, when they did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Please, dear God, either take me home with you, or please, or please help turn or contact our American enemies and find out who will house us until we can take care of this. For the rest of the world, it's important. It has to be this way, because we cannot continue to go. I mean, again, why do you think I went nuts? We can't continue to walk in as if it's business as usual every Monday morning. You see, they don't do anything but PR. They aren't actually doing anything for you. It's just PR. Nothing but PR. Just like that PR campaign that was developed 100 or whatever, how many years ago, that this was the best country on earth, and we believed in human and civil rights and blah, 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 blah. It was all a lie. My God, when they were going around in the 60s, it was a lie. For hell's sakes, Black men were still slaves some places. So why did anybody ever believe anything that came out of any president's mouth that said that when we still had slaves here? And maybe not officially like slaves, but by God, the Black people were still living like slaves, regardless of whether it had been outlawed or not. They were still living like slaves. They were still having hunted by the Ku Klux Klan. They were still arrested for shit they didn't do to cover up for the white man's crimes. So in my book, in 1961, when I was born, they were still enslaved. In America, Black men and women were still enslaved in America the day I was born. So let's not talk about how awesome America was, about its human rights and all that, because obviously that is a lie. That's a straight up lie. And I am not the only one who has United States military surveillance and intelligence equipment in my attic. You see, that's the other thing they're afraid of. That's why our enemies know that. Because there have been too many intelligence agencies in here since I've been screaming. Because some of them have gotten a hold of me long ago, and they're just sitting back watching and making sure that it's all on their in their library, in their video library. When it comes time They know they can pull it out. But they're also smart enough because they've got good intelligence in here that, can see right through the damn insulation and right into the walls. And they know for a fact I am not the only one. I suspect they have a list. It would not surprise me if they had an actual list of the people the United States government is doing this to, the United States military. It would be, the number would be dreadful, and it will rock this country. It's high. It's high. It's really high. But that's why America's enemies want me. Thank God. Because we're going to change things quickly. Quickly. You see, that's why I want to be with an enemy. Because they're as mad and have as much rage as I do. And hopefully they are ready to deliver some revenge, because I sure am. Because I want the United States military to stop abusing its own citizens. In my book, that's treason. And as far as I'm concerned, the U.S. military should shut down today. Because our worst enemies know that I'm not the only one. They have a list. They have a list. And again, whoever has been in here knows who's been called, there's been a ton of intelligence agencies in here. Let's not fool ourselves, okay? There's been a ton. There's been tons. Tons. And then they went around, believe me, they have the equipment to be able to do this, folks. I don't care what you say. They can pinpoint just about where the U.S. military has it all buried. And they have red dots all over the United States, where the United States military has surveillance and intelligence equipment in people's attics or subfloors, wherever they can bury it, so that they can keep tabs on them 24/7, 365 for the transnational mafia to operate. That's treason. And Nancy Pelosi is the head of that. So is Biden and Schumer and the rest of them, but Nancy Pelosi is really dangerous, extremely dangerous, because she works for the Israeli mafia and Bibi. And that's why I hope I get to go to Iran. Because I'm going to take care of a few things over there in Israel. I'm going to stop the bombing for one, and then there are going to be serious repercussions for that dude and his entire cabinet and anybody that keeps going in there and burying that shit. Again, I'm going to go to the world's worst enemy. The very worst, and the one that's got power and money to back it all up. That's where I'm going. And then we're going to prick you like they've pricked me every day. We are going to kill you with 1,000 pricks a day. You are not taking Palestine away from the Palestinians. You better back your ass off, Bibi. I can't wait to put you in prison. I'm quite looking forward to it, actually. I hated you from the first time I ever saw your face. There's a song that is like that, except it's the other way around. It's reverse, but there is a song like that. I hated that man from the very first picture I ever saw of him. He did what Donald did to me on the escalator. He immediately said devil across the top of his head. It shined, it flashed, and it was neon. bright red neon that said devil. The very first picture of that man, very first. Very first. I've never liked that man. Never, ever, ever, ever in my life, never liked that man. Never. And these world leaders that have sucked up to that disgusting prick are, see, again, it's Nancy Pelosi. She's the devil of the world, boy, right now. She is the most evil woman alive. She may be even more dangerous than men. She may be more dangerous than men because she's got the Israeli mafia behind her. And the Israeli mafia in the United States is huge. As we all know, it's huge. Adelson and the whole fucking clan, the whole Nevada legislature, Metro, the DA. I mean, it permeates. It's completely, we're smothered in it out here in Nevada, just smothered in it. Why do you think, again, the poor people that live here can't ever get anything? Because the casino owners want it all to themselves. And the only people that work in the state legislature operate for the casinos. Hell, most state employees work for the damn casinos in some capacity or another. Because it's just the state making sure that they take care of all the blood money. Because they wash so much of it for DC. I think it's the only way the state survives. But you see, they're making billions of it off of it. You see all this rich shit that's always going. You know, I mean, the insane wealth in here is disgusting. Really, it drips of it, and it's insane, grotesque levels of wealth. Really, it's grotesque. I find it so offensive that that's why I don't like that monarch. All that insane wealth and that gold and the nonsense and the upkeep on all of it, that is so insane when we have people in the streets dying because they can't get insulin, when we have kids in the street because mom and dad don't make enough money, there's not enough food at home, so we've got kids starving. Like, this is insane. They live in this insane, dripping blood money wealth while the rest of us starve. And sorry, I'm just kind of done with that. I find it disgusting. I find it disgusting. You know, you go into any restaurant up here where I live, and sometimes the wealth just drips off of them. And I just want to look at them and say, dear God, get a hold of yourself. Seriously, get a hold of yourself. You're washing blood money. And you're in here acting like you're high and mighty. Good God. And it's everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. It really doesn't matter where you go. The insane wealth around here is just crazy. While we've got people in the streets dying who don't really even need that much. They just need a hand up and a few meals and a place to stay for a couple of months until they can get back on their feet. I don't know why this country has never been able to do that. In the richest country in the damn world, or supposedly. I don't know whether that's true anymore or not. We've got kids starving, we've got adults starving, and we've got people living in the streets who do. If some of them want to live there, that's fine, that's their choice. But the majority of the people living there do not want to live there. Like I said, they want 3 to 6 months of a hand up. Not asking you to jail them because they're homeless, for hell's sakes. God, this country is gross. This country is gross. It's gross, it's gross, it's gross. The world has enough wealth that we can all at least be housed and we can all be fed. We don't need to have Elon Musk running around in 100 super yachts and Yeah. That's insane. All those Russian guys running around in those insane yachts. Same thing. Israelis doing the same thing. And Americans, unfortunately, doing the same thing. Those grotesque millionaires and billionaires that everybody put in government that have done nothing but drain this country dry. And I mean, they have sold it dry. It's so dry right now. I don't know if it'll come back. Good God, I don't know if it'll come back. But you see, I don't have a choice but to go to the worst enemy and start pricking people, because this world will collapse and there will be famine. There'll be famine worse than Andrea's movie. There'll be worse famine than that around the world if I don't go to the worst enemy and start dealing with some of the truth here. The truth has to be dealt with first. It's tough. It's obviously rough. I've been a political prisoner for 5 years. It's obviously really, really, really rough what the US military has been doing to private innocent citizens that never deserve to have every moment of their life taped so that the FBI and sick US Army guys can look at it all day long. That is an invasion of privacy that is absolutely insane. I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. They were just always watching me to see if I was going to the FBI, and I'll be damned when I did. Jesus Christ, all hell broke loose. And I'm 5 years in and I want it to stop. I started putting my stuff together in May, June, and then the first stuff went out in July. And I went to Pennsylvania in July. And weird things happened on that trip. Weird things. Magnus acted weird, and a few other things that all are connected right now. They were all in Jesus Christ. What are we going to do to calm her down and to get her off this high horse? Because she is dead and fucking nailed us dead to rights. And what happens we're in Pennsylvania. So, we've got some problems in Pennsylvania. Huge problems in Pennsylvania. All those states that supposedly swung the election, we have huge problems in because Russia's in them deep. Or the Israeli mafia. There's mafia embedded deeply into the governments of all 7 or 5 of those states. There is mafia deeply embedded in them. That's why the South is struggling so horrifically right now and so horrendously. Why other countries have not called this country's abuse on its own people in the South out for the last 50 years is atrocious. Because you bought the same PR campaign that they sold around the world, but that's not what your job was. Your job was to write a truthful report. And this country has never given its citizen human rights, ever. Not when people in the South are living with sewage in their front yards, and people in the North still have lead in their water because the pipes haven't all been fixed. That is human rights abuse. That governor should have gone to jail for life in my book. You don't get out and then have this nice cushy retirement when you've killed people. You've killed people. You killed people for corruption. You killed people by poisoning them through corruption. Like, that's not cool to me. To run blood money. That's gross. That's why these people repulse me in ways that I cannot even articulate. You see, I'm out of words. When I say disgusting, the reason I use it so much is because I'm frustrated. I've looked them up. I've looked up all the synonyms. Sorry. And they all match. But It's worse than all of them put together. So I just then go back to the first one. All of those grouped together are worse than yeah. So see, that's why I can't articulate it. This kind of hell is worse than all of those words thrown together and mixed up and doctored up. This kind of torture is worse than all those words put together. And this country has always been that bad to its people. And people for the last 60 years that have gone around and wrote all those reports praising America should resign. They should be shamed right out of the business. Right out of the business. Because that's always been a lie. All you had to do was come down here and look at our prisons. All you need is one walkthrough. That's all you need. Because CCDC is awful. And I cannot even imagine how horrific the South is. I think I'd want to shoot the sheriff right on the spot. And then the governor. And then the legislature for allowing the state to treat human beings like that. That is torture. Some people were not bad enough to deserve torture every single day of their sentence. Some people's crimes are not even that horrific. So what the fuck are we doing torturing them? We're torturing them because of men like George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, who love to torture people. They get off on it. They actually get off on it. So does the U.S. military. That's how gross the military is right now. It's grotesque. If my two nephews are in it, it's grotesque. It's pretty grotesque. It's really grotesque. Really, really grotesque. Too mafiosoed, and they're using it to go after United States citizens. And this military, that was the cardinal sin. You do not use the United States military to target any United States citizen, period. Period. There isn't a shall not, it's just period. And, I thought Donald Trump and Joe Biden were the worst, but, I think Nancy Pelosi is a real danger for me. And I suspect whoever's country I'm going to finally end up in, I hope they make themselves known that she will not be remembered the way she thinks she will be in the United States Congress. She entered in 1987 to work for the Israeli mafia. And our enemies know that. They're not stupid. What did I just say? They're not stupid. They know who's worked for who. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. No more than Obama or Joe or Trump or whatever has intelligence on them. They're not dumb. They know who's pulling the strings in every fucking government. Our enemies most certainly know who has been pulling the fucking strings in this government. They are not fucking stupid. They are fully aware of Nancy Pelosi's Israeli mafia ties and that she went into Congress for that reason. Now, I don't know who Feinstein's working for, but she is in the same place. If they bring an Alzheimer's patient back to the Senate, it's because they're trying to hide shit. And that's kind of the first clue everybody should look out for, right? If they've got to bring the Alzheimer's patient back on the Senate floor, then the corruption is so deep that it'll take years to wade through it. That's fine. But I cannot suffer another day with the Bouchards and the Richards. Seriously, folks. And Danny and Sue, even though they don't make as much noise. But they're all involved. And they're always sending coded messages like, yes, our life is groovy. And our life's going to continue to be groovy. And we are going to continue this until we kill you. I don't want to live like this anymore. It's been 5 years. I've lived my entire life being raped, abused, tortured, trafficked, kidnapped. Did I say that? We don't need to go on, right? I've been raped. I'm kidnapped. I am still a United States prisoner. I've been a United States prisoner for 61 years. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Is enough, is enough, is enough. I know this weekend was to drive me out of here. As you can see, I'm not going anywhere, fuckers. And I know you're pissed off. Too fucking bad. It didn't work. I just moved location so I didn't have to hear you stupid fuckers. That's all. Now, I don't want to have to be banished back here because nobody will take care of you fuckers. But one way or the other, I'm going to get out of here if I have to be on this thing again all week long. Nancy Pelosi is dangerous and she's killing me. And somebody has got to get that woman by the hair and pull it all out. She can resign and then deal with an indictment later or something, but I cannot have her in power pulling all the fucking strings for the Israeli mafia while she tries to kill me in the process because she's scared to death of it all coming out. Too bad it's already out, Nancy. I'm on YouTube live. They're all posted on my channel. They're not going anywhere. You notice I didn't delete anything. Yes, and you had Elon Musk suspend me. And I'll go on in a few days and create another one that you'll probably suspend again. You guys out yourselves. Eventually people are going, when our enemies know about it, believe me, sweetheart, you're not protecting anybody, not even yourself. Because when our enemies know about me, Nancy, it's over. You can try, go ahead, because you think you're powerful enough. I know you and BB think you're right wing enough and powerful enough behind that blue Democratic D, right? That should be an R. Should have always been an R. I don't know why people ever gave her credit when she didn't impeach Bush. And then you see the PR campaign started again. Nancy Pelosi knew she needed a PR campaign. She knew she was working for the mafia. She needed all the PR she could get. She was a Republican, disguised as a Democrat, working for the Israeli mafia, not America or her people. And look at all the journalists who have wrote glowing things about Nancy Pelosi. And she sold the country out. She came in 87 to do it for the Israeli mafia. That's horrific. That's horrific. And I can just imagine the stuff that's been put together for me like that. The pages that I'll go through to see the names of the journalists who wrote all the junk about Nancy Pelosi. As like a spider off of her. I've got to keep good press. Because Nancy Pelosi has never been worth writing about, ever. Again, I never saw what anybody saw in her back when Harry Reid hung around her all the time. I never saw what anybody saw in that woman. I never saw what anybody saw in that woman. Why am I the only one that knows these people instantly, like instantaneously? How evil they are. Instantly. I never, like, what is all this nonsense about her? She's an idiot. Can't you listen to her speak and tell she's an idiot? Can't you? I mean, because sometimes she talks crazy talk right now. And you guys run her, she runs around in circles answering your questions, and then you accept it. And it's like, excuse me, are you that ignorant? You really listen to her just babble about, I don't know, how many words? 150 or something? In a couple of sentences that mean absolutely nothing, and you're taking it as as gold and factual, and that's the way it should be. Oh my goodness, man, that's why this country makes me crazy. It makes me crazy. Literally crazy. I mean, now I understand why it's been so frustrating just to survive. And I suspect I share some of that, not to the degree that Black people do, but to some degree. It's just been a struggle to survive. To get up every morning and survive is a struggle. And it definitely is for people of color, especially Black men and women. It's awful to even just wake up. It's awful for them. They go to work every day worried about which cop's going to pull them over and whether they're going to get thrown in jail for bullshit. They worry who's going to hassle them. They worry about their kids. They worry about putting a roof over their head. And without 100 white people calling them nigger all day. So it's rough. I wouldn't have, I mean, I can imagine you people probably, I sometimes want to say to yourself, why was I born? Because this world is too cruel for me. This world's too cruel for me. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit, because America is too cruel. America has always been too cruel to its own citizens in service of the mafia and the rich. Man, I wished I could think of Andrea's movie because it's kind of perfect for this particular video. Mr. Jones, right? I think it's Mr. Jones. Because it's perfect. But we're going to have famine like that everywhere if we don't get a hold of this. What did I just say last week about those two? They weren't screaming to make their health better. As a matter of fact, I don't think any of our health is better. If anything, all of our health is worse. Because anybody who says their health is good right now, people that know the truth, their health isn't really that great because they know that this country collapsed and they have no idea how to get it back because they're fighting the white men in power every day to do it. And Black men are beating their head against the wall. And I suspect some brown as well. And I don't know who else. And just beating their heads against the wall, fighting the white men. Just like the native Indians did all the time because their corruption is so deep. It's so deep. It is so massively deep. It's so massively deep. But fighting these white men, but somebody's got to fight them. And I think it's time for an enemy. And if it takes a prick to get me out of here, what I mean is a pinprick, you know. Enemies like pinprick, like, listen, we're serious. We're not screwing around with this anymore. Like, don't think I'm kidding you. That's what I hope that they're talking about right now. Like, do you need me to prick you to let you know that I'm not fighting with you anymore, Biden? I'm not fighting with you. I'm not fighting with Blinken. I'm not fighting with anybody anymore over your US military. That place has gotten absolutely out of control in an attempt to destroy the world. That's what I know some American enemies are telling Biden. And we're not having it. You're not destroying us anymore for this damn mafia. We've watched this nutty nonsense. We've watched Nancy with our own eyes. We've watched Nancy with our own eyes. that trip she took to see the Pope, gosh, what year was that? I don't remember if it was when Trump was still in or if when Biden was in. She just kind of took off on a whim, or it seemed like, to go see the Pope. She was terrified about something because I think she was there to make sure she saw whoever her mafia contact, like that trip was designed around mafia contacts, and she was scared to death. The pictures of her she's scared to death. Or the ones I saw, she was scared to death. I guess I should look that up, but it's too terrifying to look that up and relive it. I don't know what was going on at the time, but she was terrified about something. Boy, anyway, I don't want to go back to that. Good God, I don't want to go back. I've been tortured. I need this to stop, and I need these neighbors out of here, or somebody come. I can't leave this house because it's got US grade military and intelligence equipment in the attic. We have to get that. That's why an enemy has to come evacuate me and then literally put a perimeter around the house and tell Biden and Lombardo and Pelosi that if they step 1 foot on it, they will put an electric fence on it and you'll all be electrocuted. We'll put a warning sign out, but there'll be a warning sign out because you're not removing the shit. Even after they evacuate me, they will make certain of it. If they have to have guys in here armed, they'll make certain that nobody takes this house and nobody takes the equipment that's still in the attic. That, by the way, I think they were trying to work on removing this weekend again. Now, I can't say for sure because I was pretty much a mess myself. And I would think that with our enemy intelligence in here, I wouldn't think that they would do something so crazy, but I don't trust this government not to do anything crazy. I trust them to do everything crazy. And I mean literally everything crazy. Everything. It's mafia run. It's going to be crazy. That's why it's so devastating that this has taken so long and why I've got to get help from enemies. Because these people in American government are mafioso, the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. That Wilmer in hell is the worst of the worst of the worst. Jamie Gorelick especially. Neil Katyal and his firm, they're all gross. They're all disgustingly gross. All have been trying to kill me to save all the secrets. And that's out of line, guys. Come on, that's out of line. The cardinal sin is having the United States military surveil private citizens by installing United States military grade surveillance equipment in their homes, on their computers, everything. It lights up. This house lights up, I'm sure, when the enemies look at it. Again, they know how to look at it to know what kind of machinery is in here. Hello? They're not dumb. They're not dumb. Stop acting like our enemies are dumb. They are not dumb. They're smarter than we are. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God, thank God, thank God. Thank God. Now, please come get me. I cannot take these neighbors. I really cannot take the neighbors. And I said that on Friday. I wasn't kidding. They had me in tears all weekend. Please do not do that to me. Please, the crazy has got, the insane crazy torture has got to stop. I know they're scared to death of letting all those people know that they've got military grade intelligence in their attic, but that's not, I don't deserve to die for that. 911 emergency, please get me out of here. 911 emergency. Yes, this is Lisa Magnus, and I want out of the United States as fast as possible because I cannot run from Elon Musk, George W. Bush, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump for another day. Not surrounded by their transnational mafiosos. I cannot do it. Please.